Off and running.
Yeah. We're going to get really busy here.
I have a feeling. Yeah.
It's going to be awesome.
Conference doors just open.
Energy in the rooms, amping up a little bit.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Got another great interview lined up here. So why don't we get into that?
Let's do that.
All right, Craig, real quick, self-introduction. Give us your name, who you're with, and what you do.
All right, I'm Craig Petty. I'm with Enfold ROI USA. I'm the CEO of the North American operation. And what we do is we focus on a few things. Historically, the company has provided conflation services for utilities. So we'll help align GIS with old cadasters and land bases. And in the last few years, we've broadened that scope to now include digital twins, LiDAR collection, and we will provide a full digital twin for a utility where we'll extract all their poles and wires and assets hanging on a pole. And from there, we're also offering that same sort of a service for municipalities and cities, where we'll do a digital twin of the city. And we've actually deployed one in Peachtree Corners, Georgia. The platform itself is in wide use in Canada. Actually, the city of Toronto, the fourth largest city in North America, is using the digital twin technology. And so it's been very successful with cities that have deployed it.
Okay. Wow. That's amazing.
Yeah, we found somebody using digital twins.
Yeah. And probably making a little money off it.
Yeah, actually. Yeah, it's not just a concept.
People are making money with digital twins. All right, that's good to know. So first of all, how did you get into this?
Sort of a roundabout. The longest part of my career was I worked for Motorola for many years. So if it had an antenna on it, I worked on it. A lot of two-way radios, the two-way pagers. I did for China actually in 2001. We did the first, what we like to call the precursor to the iPhone. It was a touch-screen phone with Chinese handwriting, and it was a pretty cool little phone.
Yeah.
But I got into GIS in the 2010s when I started working for a company called Comtech, and we decided it would make sense to compete head-to-head with Google and their map services. So we came up with an OSM-based mapping platform, location services platform. But we found out the hard way that it's very difficult to compete against free.
Yeah, I can see that.
There lies the problem.
So we had some limited success in the OEM market. We did deploy with a couple of small OEMs, but that didn't really last very long. But from there I got into the LiDAR world when I started working for what then at the time was called Usher, that then morphed into Dynamic Map Platform USA, where we built the HD map for General Motors. And that involved collecting 800,000 miles of roadways in North America. Wow. And then South Korea, Europe, and the most joyous part of that program was dealing with the Middle East and the GCC countries, Saudi Arabia, and everywhere.
Yeah.
And the frustrations of dealing with those governments.
Right. So you mentioned a couple, I guess, clients. Let's talk about one of them in particular. Just kind of talk about the workflow and how your company works.
Okay. So we'll do Peachtree Corners first as an example.
Yeah.
So the digital twin offering for a city is we will go and we will collect LiDAR and panoramic imagery of all of the streets within that city. And then we'll process that and we'll upload it to our digital twin platform, the web viewer platform. And so that's made available to anybody in the city that wants an account. We provide unlimited user access to that platform so they can view the imagery, the LiDAR, they can overlay the two again, and play with it against each other. There's even a virtual drone they can turn on and they can fly through the LiDAR collected in the city. And in that viewing platform, they're able to take measurements, annotate any points in the point cloud to make notes of assets or things like that. And all of that data is exportable in vector format to QGIS or ArcGIS or some GIS platform. Right. And there's plugins available that allow you to actually manipulate the data from within either of those platforms, and it's the same data is manipulated. Yeah. So that's the basic viewing manipulation platform. Then from that same LiDAR and imagery data, we've developed several machine learning and AI algorithms where we will go in and we will extract assets from that data. So we will go in and we'll extract every electrical pole, every electrical wire, all the attachments to a pole, like insulators and transformers and everything like that, the fire hydrants, manhole covers, the road edges, curbs, paint lines, all of any asset that a city needs to maintain or is concerned about. You extract all of that information as separate layers in the platform, and then those again can be exported to an Esri or a GIS platform, so they can use that to plan their operations and maintenance. And that's and it's we've got a list of about 38 different assets that we can extract from that LiDAR for a city.
And is that extraction done like with some sort of AI application or something?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So 9 of the assets are all extracted completely automated with no human intervention whatsoever. We obviously will QA them to make sure that we're not saying a tree is an electrical pole and vice versa. And then all the other assets that require some, like a paint line, whether it's a left turn, a right turn, that sort of thing. Those are semi-automated where there is a human that has to intervene to make sure that we've got the accurate data.
Gotcha. So all the collection is Info doing that collection, or do you contract that out?
A combination of both.
Okay.
In the beginning, we were contracting it all out, using third parties to collect that LiDAR data for us. We've since, getting ready to acquire our own systems, where we will start doing that ourselves because we're starting to see more demand, and it's not just now for cities and utilities, but tree management is a big thing, vegetation management. So we're starting to see that there's a large demand for just data collection in general. And we're working with some of the islands in the Pacific as well. So it's quite a wide ranging clientele that are looking for this.
Yeah. And from the city standpoint, are they going to you guys to do everything from beginning to end? From data collection all the way to give me the platform.
Yeah, it's a full soup to nuts offering. From we'll sit with the city, we'll get a shapefile generated of the roads that they want collected. We'll collect all the data, process it, upload it into the platform, and then go through all the asset extraction. And it's a subscription basis, so we will go back and we will recollect that LiDAR on an annual or biannual, depending on what the city wants, basis. Because one of the features of the platform is a change detection. So you can look at LiDAR over a couple of years and see how things have changed, which is especially useful for vegetation. As trees grow, and you want to see how has a tree grown and how does that interfere with electrical wires, and utilities find that very useful as well. But even just things, the other thing we can do is one of the automatic extractions we do is cracks in the pavement. So we can do a pavement condition analysis.
Oh, nice.
And then they can see how a road is degrading over time by comparing those two LiDARs and say, okay, this road was, we rate the cracks with a red, yellow, green as to you better get out there. But so they can see if something's yellow in 2025 and then they go back in 2026 and the cracks are wider or deeper. It's like, okay, it's time to go out and do maintenance on this section of road.
So I can see how like a smaller city would really gravitate to all that. What about a larger city where the parks department is separate from the streets department, and how do they all talk to each other using one source of data?
So, well, for example, the city of Toronto in Canada, they are using this platform. So it's that's the 4th largest city in North America is now.
Did the mayor have to come in and say, okay, everybody is using it and y'all get on the same page? How do you coordinate that?
It was done through the Public Works Department, and then depending on the city now, some cities run a little smoother than others.
Right.
Where they're, they all talk to each other, but once the data is collected, that platform can be made available to anybody. We don't restrict on who can use it within a city. So we offer unlimited user logins to that city. Where there's upsell for us is, the number of assets that you want extracted. If you want just, 4, or if you want 30 or 25, that will change the pricing. But And what we have found with cities that have deployed this is some of them have told us that they are saving upwards of 80% on their field visit costs.
Sure, yeah.
Because now somebody can sit at their desk and perform measurements and check the status of an asset without having to jump in a truck with a clipboard and a tape measure and a camera and go out into the field to measure.
Well, isn't it usually those guys are the ones that are doing the work anyway? So if they're spending most of their time just collecting data, that means they're not doing, the actual repairs and maintenance.
Right.
So it kind of it basically concentrates that field time to actual production, right?
Yeah. And what we're working on that will be ready second half of this year is, rather than having to do a big bang sort of collection, once we've done that first one, we have a mobile tool, a field service tool that the field service workers have, that they will be able to go into the field, and as they perform maintenance or repairs, they'll through the iPhone, it's got LiDAR built into it. So through that iPhone, they'll be able to update the digital twin directly from the field with a repair and the status of the repair, so that data is always current.
Wow, yeah, that's cool. Like the guys in the field being able to just patch in and just say, okay, and then cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, you mentioned like all the different extraction abilities that you have on the platform. So those extractions, do they have to be done by Infold, or can they be done by, the municipality?
Well, I mean, it's not doing those extractions is not a straightforward thing. So we have a team of 100 people that have been that do this for a living, and so they can't do it. We do make the LiDAR available to whoever, the city or utility that has contracted us. So it's, unlike some companies, when we collect LiDAR for you, it's your data. We give you that data, and you can do whatever you want with it.
I mean, most of them can't do anything with it because it's a point cloud.
Yeah, exactly. But
what about construction? Like if let's say that the city is doing an improvement to an intersection or an area, can that city then grab that LiDAR data and give it to the contractor and let them build their model off of it from there too?
Yes, that's exactly what we do.
And that's a big savings too, because you just wiped out that part of the scope, which is always an issue anyway, whether it's existing survey data or whatever.
Yeah, because cities can now use this data once we've collected and have it. So a lot of contractors that are going to respond to an RFP, they don't necessarily have to send people out and take all sorts of detailed measurements and everything. They get access to that point cloud, and they can do everything remotely when they're doing an RFP response and things like that.
So interesting. So you mentioned municipalities being clients and large utility companies. What are some other examples of clients that would benefit from this platform?
Well, with utilities, there's electrical, gas, and water.
But we're talking about large projects, right? Is there an application for smaller projects as well?
Yeah, I mean, some of the smaller things we talked to are like campuses, large campuses.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Large campuses that they can use, especially for maintenance, and some of the campuses that we've worked with are looking to do like an autonomous shuttle vehicle, something. So the other thing we do with that same data for autonomous driving is we can take the road data and we can create Lanelet 2 or OpenDrive files for it, and use that to provide an autonomous vehicle with an input, because Lanelet 2 is a very popular format for autonomous vehicles. And another thing we're doing is we're working with the Federal Department of Transportation. There's a lot of work going on right now for V2X, vehicle to infrastructure communication for autonomy and ADAS technologies. So the LiDAR we collect, what they need is at a given intersection, they need to know all the possible routes or paths that a vehicle can take through an intersection. So it's a right turn, left turn, how many lanes are in the intersection, where the crosswalks are, where the traffic lights are, and all that sort of information. So we take that same LiDAR and we create a Lanelet or OpenDrive or USD format, whatever they're using, and hand that to right now it's state DOTs we're working with. Maricopa County is the prime one we're working with. And they're using that information that we've collected from the LiDAR to test V2X communication. So they can tell a vehicle that's equipped with this these radios and sensors that as you're approaching the intersection, I'm about to turn from green to yellow in 10 seconds, so slow down so you don't have to stop at a red for as long.
Yeah.
Or if there's a pedestrian in the intersection and a car is approaching,
Yeah.
it'll say, stop.
Yeah. It's those where it gets in that no man's land where
and it'll tell a vehicle, okay, the lane you're in, the only direction you can go is straight. You're not allowed to turn right or left, or you're only allowed to turn left. So all of that is a huge research effort undergoing right now. It's Phoenix is doing it, Salt Lake City's doing it, University of Texas A&M, University of Virginia. There's several points in the country that a lot of this research is going on, and the technology will be deployed in the first commercial vehicle in the model year 29. So this is fast approaching.
No kidding.
Because you've got this, and what they'll do is there'll be two forms that this will take. It'll either be built into the traffic light, the red, yellow, green light as an edge processing thing, or it'll just be another box that's bolted to a pole in an intersection. And eventually this is going to go not just in intersections, but it'll be throughout all the roadways, telling controlling vehicles as autonomy gets more widely deployed.
Right. Well, you mentioned Maricopa County and Phoenix, which is where we're from, of course, and we've got Waymo there.
Right.
So I mean, there's got to be some sort of tie-in to that as well, right?
So Waymo right now, and all of the robot taxis, they don't depend on any interaction with the infrastructure. They have their own sensors on the vehicle. That's why you see all the LiDAR spinning on the Waymo.
Right.
And they just try and determine where they are
based on itself.
Based on itself and what it sees. But see, that doesn't help it when it comes to an intersection. If it's going to know whether it's going to turn red or light, or it's their sensors that can look for a pedestrian, but they haven't always been successful, and we've seen examples of that.
Sure.
But and that way, if the federal government's going to deploy this technology, it's going to have to be pretty rock solid.
And is the idea to use that in conjunction with an autonomous vehicle that has its own sensors and it approaches an intersection, then it can piggyback up,
No, once this the Vito X is deployed, it will talk to all commercial vehicles as they integrate those receivers into the vehicle and that control. This is all part of the ADAS, Advanced Driver Assistance Technology. Is what that Vito X stuff is all.
That's so cool.
I know, right?
So you're using the same LiDAR data for all of these different purposes. So it's the utility of the data is just so incredible.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's like a 4-dimensional GIS.
Yes.
Is that why is that why you guys call it a 4D digital twin?
It's exactly why the 4D is time.
Yeah.
Because we recollect at different times, and you can do that change comparison, that change detection over time from different LiDAR scans. When our CEO first coined the term 4D, the first thing I thought of, I don't even remember the 80s movies, Buckaroo Banzai in the fourth dimension. That's I just said to Walter. So, have you ever seen this movie, Walter?
Yeah.
But no, it's time. It's not it's not whatever those creatures were in.
Right. So what do you see or foresee is going to be the limiting factor here? Let's say those boxes are deployed not just at intersections but everywhere, and so then it's going to be how frequent the LiDAR data collection is happening. I mean, eventually, if the hardware is everywhere, then it's the availability of the data, right, or the freshness of it.
Yeah. So I think longer term, and this comes from my previous life when I worked for a company that developed HD maps for autonomous vehicles. Where it's going to go longer term is crowdsourced. So as you get more vehicles on the road with these types of sensors, there's going to be a crowdsourced reporting of there's construction here or there's an accident here. So it'll eventually get to real-time crowdsourcing. And as all of the vehicles in the infrastructure are talking to each other, everybody's going to know everything about what's going on in the road.
Right.
So it'll help alleviate a lot of traffic jams because cars will automatically start to speed up, slow down, and you won't have all of those sudden stops.
Yeah.
There'll be a smoother flow, or if a road gets over capacity, it will start directing vehicles to take another route, and they will just do it to stop a certain road segment from getting over capacity and things like that. So I mean, I think all of that will be here, by the mid 30s probably. A lot of that's going to be real.
Well, if the sensors can be on your iPhone, then they're going to be on the commercial vehicles just for one reason or another. And then once it's there, then you can start using it.
Right. Yeah. And if the first vehicles hit commercial production in 29, so that's actually calendar year 28. It's once it starts to hit the street, it'll start in the high-end vehicles, but pretty rapidly move its way down. We've just seen that with General Motors, the way they first brought out Super Cruise and Cadillacs, but now you can find flavors of Super Cruise down into like the Chevy Bolt.
Right.
So
I got to ask, the next logical step then is, if all the LiDAR data is going to be collected by every commercial vehicle, what's the point in hiring somebody to go out and get mobile with LiDAR? Like, if it's going to be there readily available, are you going to need separate commercial providers?
Well, where's that LiDAR going to reside? I mean,
somebody's got to get it and own it and
who's going to
disseminate
manage
it.
that data? Who's going to merge all that data coming from disparate sources? I don't see the federal government managing a great big data lake in the sky.
And I don't think anyone wants them to either.
Exactly.
Right.
So there's going to be, the need for private industry to manage this. But the application of that data, maybe eventually there won't be as much need for LiDAR collection, but the processing of that LiDAR,
that's got to go.
Somebody's going to have to do that, and that won't be the federal government doing that.
Because you're just by orders of magnitude increasing how much is out there, right?
Oh yeah. I mean, think of the petabytes of data that'll eventually be there.
Right.
Just think for intersections alone. Think of how many intersections there are in the United States. For instance, in Maricopa County, there's over 800 intersections that they want to deploy this to.
Wow.
That's a lot of intersections in one city.
Yeah.
And how many cities in the country and towns and everything else, there's, I think, it's like thousands, a couple 100,000 intersections, throughout the country. So it's going to take time. It's going to take time.
Right.
How do you I envision there being challenges with cities not having this in their budget, right? And how do you overcome that? Because I'm sure it's got to be a significant cost for a city to implement this.
Yeah. Well, actually, it's not as much as you would think. We try and keep it priced pretty aggressively. That's why we offer unlimited logins. So we base the cost on the amount of storage, the amount of data that needs to be stored. So the number of miles in a city is directly influences the cost of the deployment. But you're right. I mean, some cities we go to, oh man, we love it. We just don't have budget this year. But what we've done is we'll go collect a square mile in the city center and just give that to a city.
Sure.
And say, play with it, see what you think, and that gives them the tool they need to go get budget for the following year. And then they will get the budget.
Perfect.
Well, and it's essentially reallocated, right? I mean, it's all of those scopes live in other areas, and you're just centralizing the data. So, I don't see it as a huge cost increase. You just got to convince somebody that it makes sense.
And when you can show it as a cost savings, because now they don't have to make as many field trips. Now, because you'd be surprised, most cities have no idea how many fire hydrants they have, or manhole covers, or where they are.
Much less what condition they're in.
And so they need to know that. And as we get to some of our more crowdsourced and real-time updating, we can work with the city, and if they want to know the condition of their bus stops on a daily basis, we're close to the point with some of the imagery work we're doing. We can put a camera in every bus and as the bus drives its
Ah,
route during the day,
yeah, exactly.
at the end of the day, when the bus comes back to the depot, the condition of every bus stop on that guy's route is updated in the digital twin.
Yeah.
So now the next morning, the maintenance group can come in and say, "Oh, we better get out to these bus stops and clean them up or fix them or whatever." So it's just it's sort of endless what you can do with this data as we collect more of it.
Yeah, and it's all geo-referenced, obviously,
All
right?
geo-referenced within centimeter accuracy.
Yeah.
So we use survey grade lidar for everything.
Yeah.
So it's pretty useful.
Yeah. I think you're onto something, Craig.
I got the same feeling. I like it.
And by the way, thank you for being a friend of the program of the show. We appreciate your support.
Oh,
I forgot to mention that when we introduced you. So,
a new friend of the program.
New friend of the program. Yeah. You got anything else? Like I
No.
could talk for another
No,
hour.
I know. Yeah, we could. We're gonna make
get
it.
him on for a
We'll have a
full-
full episode,
course.
so
Yeah.
we'll dive in more. But for now, I definitely appreciate you coming by.
Yeah, good. No, this is a good show and lots of fun stuff to see and
For sure.
Great to meet you guys.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you as well.
yeah,
Thank
absolutely.
you.
Yeah, enjoy
Appreciate
the
it.
rest of the day.
All right, thanks.